about to start the 9 Years' War, where the game is called 9 Years. It's not really, I don't think anybody calls it the 9 Years' War. It's the War of the Grand Alliance. Dealt out 3 cards. I'm going to keep the French over here because that's where I'm used to them from No Peace Without Spain, and the Allies over there because that's kind of where I'm used to them. It doesn't quite work the same in this game because, well, Britain starts out as not an ally. So at this point, both players have to look at their hands and decide, do they want to go first for some reason? The special rules for the French, Philipsburg, if they can grab that, they get mains for free. How much value that is, it's hard to tell because they get it, but they don't get any victory points for it. So it's kind of like, it can give you, though, I guess, some more control and positioning, conceivably. I don't know how big a goal that is for me, though. Looking elsewhere, the English, well, I can do a C move with William III. Now, this is weird. In 1688 and 1689, I can do this special C move with up to 6 corps. Now, first of all, I can't bring 6 full corps into London without them suffering some losses, but that's okay. Right, because it only holds 8, which means 4 full corps. Twisted stuff there. But there's nothing that kind of prevents me from going somewhere else. Now, Portugal, obviously, I couldn't, but I could launch an attack somewhere else. I think I want to try to force the Glorious Revolution early. Do I want to do it on my first turn? Is there any real reason for that? This is the thing to decide in terms of the card play. For the French, I don't think I particularly want to go first. Unfortunately, I don't have a 2-point card or a 1-point card. I'm just not really seeing anything. Although, if I do go for this, I can get the jump on it before, the defenses get increased or something. But the Allies don't have a lot of troops down here to work with. I guess this could march down, but there's an auto victory up in Amsterdam. So there's a lot of reasons for me to let the enemy make a move first. The only exception to that, let me consider that, Ostend and Tournai, these are valuable spaces that are Spanish held. Those might be worth invading. So I'll play my 3-point card and see what happens. I have the initiative. Over here with the Brits, or not the Brits, with the Allies, well, they're not going to win no matter what because I played that 3-point card. So I'm not going to put too much thought into this. I'll say I play a 1. That reveals that I have a 1, which is kind of an interesting piece of information. All right. We don't know for sure what we want to do here, but trying to push into Spanish Netherlands looks like a good move overall to me. So let's move this leader up with 3 corps. Now, the Spanish can withdraw immediately. They're going to withdraw into the fortress, actually. It makes it a little less likely. On only 3 cards, it's not terribly likely that that's going to fall there. I have 2 2-point cards. That means I'm not going to get a lot of sieges anywhere else. If I've got kind of 1 more coming to me. I'll push Boufflers here, and they'll do the same thing with him. They'll fall into Ostend rather than going elsewhere. And I can keep track of, hey, I spent 2 of those 3 this way. I have to back away and think a little bit. Speaking of which, this video, if everything goes right, if the times are going to be screwed up on it, it's never going to tell you the right time, because what's going to happen is I'm going to use just a straight joiner, file joiner on it. I have that work locally on one, and I haven't tested it yet on uploading to YouTube. YouTube may say, nah, you can't do that. You've got to give us the correct headers and everything for the size of the file that you're looking at. But I think I'll get away with it, which just means from now on my videos won't have accurate lengths listed on them. As far as I can see, it captures all the information and does it in less space than tearing the encoding apart and re-encoding it, which is what everything else does. Figure out what to do with that third point. It's kind of tricky. So here, let's see, Glorious Revolution. The C move would cause some issues if the C's not controlled. But here's the thing. I can sortie into there with the Atlantic Fleet, and then I'll control it, I think, immediately, and then be able to sail out. So, although something says you should not do this in the rules, and I'm going to look further, I think the final French point is going to be to move the British fleet out into the Atlantic, giving them control of the Atlantic. That forces a fight if the Dutch fleet comes out, but I'm not sure the fight doesn't happen automatically, so I've got to look at the rules a little bit more on this. The naval rules have changed significantly over here. One of the problems is this is one of the places where the rules have a serious issue. Okay, naval matters. During the action phase, a prepared fleet and both sides have one, can attempt to take control over its linked sea zone. When the fleet is deployed by spending an action point, what I intend to do, each player rolls a die. This is the first thing, is it doesn't work quite the same in terms of the numbers you get. The side controlling the fleet adds the strength of its fleet. That would be 1. The other side adds 1 if he controls the sea zone, no. 1 if he controls London and the sea zone's the Atlantic, no. London is Bourbon right now. Sorry about the speedy swing. I'm not used to it anymore. And then a bonus in the Mediterranean for Gibraltar. Okay, the higher roll wins. Okay, great. If the active player wins, he gains control of the sea zone. Now, gaining control of the sea zone is marked by putting your fleet in the sea zone space and a victory point. Regardless of the outcome, the fleet is removed from the map and returned to the force pool. I think that's an error, but who knows? So as far as I can see, there's going to be a battle regardless. I could gain a victory point, and I could gain control of the sea, but the Dutch would have a chance to gain control of the sea anyway. Now, the Dutch are going to have a chance to gain control of the sea anyhow. I'm going to do this because it gets me a victory point if I succeed. So we each roll a die, and the French get 1 for their fleet. The other player has no advantages according to this. He doesn't have the sea zone. He doesn't have London, and he doesn't have the Atlantic. And that's actually how it's spelled out in here too. It seemed a little weird to me, but each side rolls a d6. Active player adds his fleet. Inactive player adds 1 for all of those events. High roll wins. It just doesn't seem like it's, the strength of the inactive fleet doesn't matter. So the French win with a 7. They go here. I'm going to leave them here because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. They get a victory point, which subtracts 1 from the table. And we've spent our 3 actions. Note that the sieges don't take place yet. I have to activate again to get those. Well, now we got to think about the Dutch situation. And here's where it's kind of tricky. The Dutch can get a lousy, glorious revolution by doing kind of nothing, just winning control of the Atlantic. Not now, but by the end of next turn. During the Winter's Quarter after 1688, in which London's Bourbon controlled and the Atlantic is under alliance control. The other option, though, is come in earlier and attack. What do I get as an advantage from this? Well, let's see. London and Derry become alliance controlled. Only London gets alliance controlled if I do it for free, sort of. Alliance marker in London, alliance court in London with Marlborough. They both get that. Waldeck shows up in Amsterdam. If I do the military version, Waldeck is removed from the game if I just wait things out. The 2 British corps to the force pool is both in there. Any surviving Jacobites can retreat to York or Dunkirk or Dublin. Any force in London is moved to Dunkirk in the automatic one. Here's the problem. One, there's some risk to doing a sea landing, even if I take control, but without control, there's quite a risk. Two, the French army's here. I could lose the game if I launch the entire Dutch army over there. So I think you're kind of pushed towards, you won't get Waldeck, and that's really the only great expense to it. Well, there's also some Irish support there. I'm gonna look a little bit more at the board and at my cards. I don't have a lot in the way of cards, so I may have some trouble activating and doing things properly this turn anyway. But I just really don't think that I can, land a bunch of troops to fight James. I think that's a way to lose the game pretty quickly by losing Amsterdam. So I'm probably going to wait it out until the British invite us in. I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 2-point card. I'm going to activate William and try to get to Tournai. He doesn't have enough troops to really defeat this stack. This stack is 6 counters tall, 5.5 strength points. Boufflers and this other 1-point leader add up to what William has. I have no guarantees of beating it. This is dangerous because I'll be moving 1, 2, 3, launching a battle here. These guys can't retreat automatically, and their chances are kind of low. Boufflers could intercept in there and try to force a big battle and leave some forces behind for the siege as well. Or he could conceivably try to do an end run around here, but I can't just run through these spaces. I have to siege them. So there's going to be some time involved. I'm probably only going to be able to take one city, Ostend, anyhow. So let's do that. The second point I'm going to be using with the Allies, I think probably in Italy, but I don't have to make that decision yet. I do want to use, out of my 3 really lousy cards, I want to use a 2-point card. I really should take naval action, though, but I don't know that I want to do that. Yeah, I probably should do the naval action at this point as well. All right, so first thing we have to do is count how many pieces William has. He has 4 pieces. So I'm going to come down here, 1, 2, and then I'm moving 3 into here. Now, my chance to withdraw is at this moment. I've got a siege going on. I think I've got a shot of getting at him, though. So I'm going to stand for the battle, actually. And now we look here for an interception. It's a die roll, trying to get a 6 or higher with plus the TR of the intercepting leader. I'm going to leave Boufflers here because he's good at sieges. And I'm going to use the other leader and however many troops. Well, he can only bring 4 in. That'll bring me to 6 full-strength troops if I counted right. Who knows? So yeah, I'll bring 4 full strengths in if I can. I do not roll well enough, which means he gets in here and the battle's underway. Okay, how do we do the battle? Well, these Spaniards here do nothing. Over here we have 3 French troops under pretty much a non-leader. And over here I didn't need them all, but I have 4 Dutch troops with William. William's going to be able to add his 2 strength. So normally what we'd be looking at is 6 dice versus 3 with nothing special going on. But now we have to look up, hey, what's William's special abilities? Because I am going to be playing with that. Unless besieged, he adds 1 to the stacking limit of the area he occupies. Well, that's 1 for either side. That could be actually dangerous, I guess. So I get 6 red dice, 3 blue dice. We're looking at 5s and 6s. I'm going to play with the reroll option. Hey, that helps William. He's going to get 2 rerolls. Okay. As it stands, he's doing 3 hits. That's the most he can do anyway. So I'll re-roll this, and I'll re-roll one of the red dice. I do 3 hits, they do none. So those 3 hits go here. No more than that could be done. The French are going to have to withdraw. They get a little demoralized marker, which means they suck at combat at this point. And, oops. Lille is better, and I can kind of cover it. I'll fall back to there. The problem, of course, is this becomes more open, but other things as well are difficult. This could have caused an automatic overstack. Of course, William helps with that. Oops. Got to make a check to see if William dies or is wounded or something. An 8, he's safe. 10 is the first number for that. These go here. I'm not going to be able to do much in terms of showing the game as I play it. These big stacks of counter, and yeah, I know I could use these, but still. The big stacks that I have to move and put on and off the board, they're going to be too clumsy. I'm going to be slipping all over the place with them, so I'm just not going to do that. We won't get a lot of play-by-play. Oh, I shouldn't have thrown that out. I have one more point. I'm going to send the fleet out. So the English or the Allied force has +2 to their strength because they have a strength, or they have a +2 strength fleet. These guys have control of the Atlantic and of London. That's 2 as well. I need to send the fleet out because it's wasted otherwise. And I might as well use the 2-point card now. Okay, the French win the battle. That knocks this fleet back. And I don't believe there's any victory point change for that. So, now we go back to the French action. Put a couple dice there to remind me. And think a little bit and make sure everything I've done is correct and stuff like that. Okay, the French player has a pair of deuces. There's nothing too exciting he can do. He's going to spend one of them on this siege up here. Question is whether he wants to spend, set up another siege. If I look through his units, he's got a lot of damaged units here. I think what I'm going to do instead, play it too. I'm going to do that siege, but first I can spend to recover a unit. Now, I think I have units back here that are damaged. Can I fit? That's always the question, isn't it? 3 full strength, 4 full strength. Now I can't upgrade him or he'll go over his strength limit. Lille is a rich area, so I can upgrade one of these and it actually rallies when it upgrades, although nothing else in there does. Okay, now to the siege. Well, again, I wish I had a easy cheat sheet. Let's see what Bouffler's special. I believe he's strength 2 when sieging. Yeah, he's TR2 when sieging. Okay. So, we look this sucker up. Besieger has a line of communication. I'm running back this way. You see besieging a port. Ostend is a port, and it has a sea line of communication. No, this is a French-controlled. It would have to have been Alliance-controlled to get that bonus. Bourbon's besieging Innsbruck or Trent. These are actually marked on the map. There's a penalty on both of them. 1 TR leader or better in the fortress, no. Continuing siege, no. I've got a 2 TR leader because of the special bonus. And he's got a home core. So that gets me +1. I have none of these other things in play. So I'm going to have a +1 to the siege die roll. And then I roll on this table. I throw the die away. So I get a 6. That means I take 1 damage. I can't take it on the damaged core, I don't believe. I don't know what the rules are on that. So I take 1 damage, but I do 2. Well, 2 is Ostend. They go down to a 0. I haven't done enough hits, though. I can't fiddle with these. To get that Spanish core there that you can see. 1 more hit and that core has to retreat. And then things are then I capture it, and I gotta find my damn die. But that's the two actions of the French turn. Let me move dice over to the Brits and go look for the die I threw away. So I have to stop thinking of as the Brits, in this game especially. You know, for the next century, and for the century before, Britain and France were largely opposed to each other. It's just under James's reign that there was a little bit of, and they're not as allied as it appears at this point, but they will be when he becomes the Pretender. Anyway, they built an imperial force up using the recovery mechanism. Mainly the choice was, I'm not going to be able to siege this. I might end up, successfully probably, I might end up getting hit by Boufflers and overwhelmed. Let's not do that. Since I didn't get sea control, I can't really make it over to London easily. For the French, they spend their last card, upgrade another point over here in Lille, and now we're going to undertake the siege. Now, I forgot to do something last time with the siege. There should be this marker, a continuing siege marker on there. So I had +1 for the leader, and now I have +1 for the continuing siege. I think that's all. Yeah. So I'm at +2 on the die roll, and I only need to cause 1 hit now, which is pretty easy. But it is my last card, so if a horrible roll comes, which it does not, I take 1, they take 2. Okay, what happens? This goes away. This gets honors of war. We'll put it somewhere. This goes away. We get a Bourbon marker there. And 2 victory points have changed hands. Okay. No chance of Boufflers getting injured in a siege. And the only thing that's left to do is to figure out where I want those Spaniards. See, I have no additional Dutch troops. Putting them there gives me a little bit of defensive benefit, and it doesn't really hurt me in any way. Now we go to the Allies. They have 1 card left, a 1-point card. I don't want to waste my fleet. It goes away if I don't use it, so I'll sail it out. +1 for the strength of the fleet, +1 for Gibraltar. So I'm at +1 for the strength of the fleet. Gibraltar's only for the defense. +1 for control of the Mediterranean. They don't get their fleet strength, so we're even. The Allies succeed. The Toulon fleet goes back here. This one can't be recuperated or anything. It doesn't matter what strength it was on, but I do get a victory point for that. And I get control of the sea, so this victory point goes there. And that is the end of the campaign phase, which means we look at the sequence of play. And withdraw to friendly spaces. If anyone was sieging who wasn't where they belonged anymore, like failed their siege, they'd have to fall back from it. I remove any continued siege, fortress, blah, blah, blah. London is Bourbon controlled. That's -2 victory points. That's one strong reason for trying to jump in there early, but I'll be getting hit with it again. Right? I think the British, I think that comes during the winter quarters. Savoy's neutrality. It doesn't happen. It's not 1696 or later. London is Bourbon controlled and Atlantic is Alliance controlled. The Glorious Revolution happens. No. It's not late enough anyway. Bourbon peace die roll, no. Check for game end, no. So we're going to move forward into the next turn. And I'm going to take a little rest. But that's the first turn. We'll get at least one more on this video. So here we are in 1689. Starting things off, we look at the sequence of play event phase. A couple of things that happened in other years. But now we're at King William's War. Let's look at the mechanism in play here. We're going to be each rolling a die with some modifiers. So one modifier is spending one of your resource points for the upcoming turn in order to increase the chances of a success going further in your direction. I think the French may do this. The reason being because they get a die roll bonus for having a fleet here. Now, currently the marker's on their side, which is we win ties. What I'm confused with is, so I guess this is going on prior to King William in place. James is still competing with the French in the New World, which makes sense. But obviously, it's the Allied player who wants the advantages here. So I guess that all works there. I could increase the commitment by getting rid of a card this turn. I don't know that I want to do that. I'm probably going to need my cards. Things look kind of grim for me there. So I'm not going to flip the counter over for the same kind of reason that I didn't try to push the Glorious Revolution into a military situation. Obviously the French can't do that. And I think we just add one to the die roll for control of the Atlantic for the French. And then they win ties. They're going to give one of their points, and they have 4 points. They're going to give one of them up for this turn so that they get this, essentially, to move it 2 spaces if they win, because they've got so many advantages. They get a 4, the Brits get a 6. We did not win. This goes forward. This just goes away, and 1 victory point ends up being added to the track. Okay. Next thing's a Marlborough roll. That only happens after the Glorious Revolution. The Glorious Revolution hasn't happened, so I shouldn't even look this up. But I remember this is like the roll that allows you to lose Marlborough apparently for the entirety of the game, right? He's not listed there. Roll a die. If Marlborough on play, on British side, on a 5 to 6, you remove him from the game. I think he should probably be able to come back. Because otherwise, No Peace Without Spain is going to be significantly hindered. He's a good leader here. He's a great leader in No Peace Without Spain. So I kind of don't know that I like the idea of him being sacked forever due to the political instance here. It looks pretty damn likely, and historically he did basically leave court until Queen Anne. His wife had a connection to Anne. But that's not going to happen yet, and so we draw event cards. Initiative player has choice of drawing of who draws first. So as we discussed, we're going to force the Allied player to draw first. Political intrigue, Versailles. The Alliance player selects any French named leader. The leader is removed from the game this turn and returns as a reinforcement next turn. I think Vauban is not the highest rated leader. We have better over here in Nuales, but Vauban's got his siege bonus. I'm going to pluck him off. He's just too good at sieges. And then that's all that happens. And you can see the subtlety of play that's available in a normal CDG. It's not here, but it does get around one of my problems. Death of Louvois. The Bourbon player now receives 2 resources each turn instead of the 3. So that's actually going to cut me down to a 3 total because I get 2 plus 1 for whatever wealthy space that I had. And this event is no longer in effect after 1699. Now, somewhere or another, I have this. And, geez. Yeah, we're not as used to doing things here. And we'll put him here just to remind us. They'll get the points back later. All right. Those were our 2 event points. We go to the reinforcements phase. Now, I believe again the initiative player gets the choice of who goes first here. There's absolutely no reason that I can think of that you would put the other player first. Let's see. Yeah. But it's not just the reinforcements that you can buy. These come in too, and we got to be kind of careful about these because at least for those first few where they're already preset, there are special rules on some of them. They're not what they seem to be, which is, hey, this just comes back. So, for example, one of the Austrians goes to the force pool. Comes on his front side. So we got an extra Austrian we can build. And Max Emanuel is going to be promoted if I can. He's probably here. Okay. And for the French, 2 troops, and Lorges gets promoted. Hey, that's not him. Probably this guy over here. He looks pretty good. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to do these kind of all at once, which is the first thing we do. So the French are forcing the Allies to go first, is they can build and restore core. I've got a total of 6 points, whereas the French have 3 minus 1 is 2 points for the turn. And colonial support's already been spent. So yeah, we get those points that we can build new units, we can rebuild units that are on the map. Remember, you can use cards to rebuild those units, so it may behoove you to build new units in some cases because of that. But the other thing is I get to reassign all my leaders, and that's kind of big. So I'm going to take some time and think these up and maybe be able to tell you something after I'm done. Otherwise, assuming I didn't just cheat. Let's look at my Spanish leader. I may have cheated with him, who knows. No special rules. How about Eugene? TR3, if there's no other named leaders, great. Okay, for the Allies, I strengthened my position at Tournai. I didn't have a 6 core there, which is, I believe, what's required. I would have done this otherwise, but I didn't bother looking it up. Let me make sure. Let's look at a different page. It sent me somewhere else. Oh, must have 5 core. Ooh, wow. Let me think then. Because I rebuilt a complete Spanish core here. And what I could have done is this instead and get a level 2 fortified line there. I like the fortified line. I feel like I'm mainly on the defensive, and I've got good leaders here. I've got William here who has a good chance of intercepting. I've added this Villa Hermosa or whatever. I can't really see him. Yeah, never heard of him, but into Tournai. And I'm going to make that my main stack over here. Some of the reinforcements came in. Eugen comes down here. I don't have Austrians anywhere else that are really close to the battlefield, so at least he gets a bonus on his sieges. We're going to see what we can clean up down here. I don't see any Savoy troops yet. I think Savoy's in this war. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know what happens there. Savoy joins the alliance here, so I guess this is just, French territory that Savoy wants back and considers theirs. Max Emanuel got promoted, etc. For the most part, I left my leaders where they were. The only exception was moving the Spanish leader. I replaced that there, and I shifted around some of my minor leaders. Now I have to figure out the French, which shouldn't be too hard. I have a lot less points on them, and they're pretty much on the offensive. I know what else. I spent 2 points on the Atlantic Fleet. The reason for that is I get the free Glorious Revolution at the end of this turn if I can get control of the Atlantic. Plus, William's War is advantageous with the Atlantic. So overall, it just seemed like a good idea to build the fleet, even though, there's a lot of troops I could build too. French, we moved the weight over here as well, with the leaders. Naval is over here now with an extra leader. He's got a pretty big stack there, within limits. Lorge is here. Boufflers over here, most likely place where we'll get uninterrupted sieges. Over here, this guy in case I want to actually do a move with that force. But as it stands right now, I think this force is going to march into Spain. Spain's important. It's not automatic victory, but it's got a 10-point for Madrid. Plus, I really don't want to leave Spain in Allied hands for Queen Anne's War or whatever. War of League of Augsburg? I don't remember which. I think it is, but I'm not sure. Anyway. So there we're set up. And I know I'm taking lots of time. Yeah, it's funny because I really enjoy playing the game, just playing it, compared to dealing with doing the video. But on the other hand, I like the semi-social experience of talking to y'all, and I also like the, whatever value I provide for that to anyone. I don't know. Anyway, we've moved the leaders around. The extra forces, some replacement points over here. I didn't have much. I only had 2 points to play with. No navies. This one's already in play. And the Mediterranean's just not worth that much to me. And if I can capture Barcelona, I think I take this fleet out of the game. And, then I can take the Mediterranean and keep it forever, basically. Assuming I get the successful die roll, the enemy still gets a roll against me, I think. And yeah, so we deal out action cards, and at this point I believe we get 5 each, and we're in the same place we were in on the last turn, except more cards and some more decisions. So we've kind of made it through the whole cycle in terms of gotten through all the different play actions that can happen in a turn, but obviously I'm going to finish this turn. I just may not go into too much detail with it. Come in as key points are showing up or whatever. I think you've seen most of the mechanisms in play. Even fortified line forcing? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Of course, when the revolution happens, we'll zoom in on that too. Actually kind of weird right now. The French are going to play a 1 card. They don't particularly want to go first. That's sort of the standard. But I'm not sure that they're right about this. I look at the Allies, and there's an interesting position here where, oh look, I can move Naval. And by the way, his special ability is a penalty. TR1 against an army that's not made up of majority Spanish units. Well, I don't really need even the TR1 down here as far as I'm concerned. After seeing the Allies pull the Spanish leaders out, well, it looks like I have free reign for a while, so that's fine. And he is the best leader I have available right now because I don't have Vauban for this turn. So here's the thing though, if the French get to go first, they can move in and start sieging Bergen op Zoom. If they take it, even if I can take Ostend, there's a possibility they maintain control of the Atlantic and can keep supplying out of there and can actually make a threat into Amsterdam eventually, and probably not getting Nijmegen even in one turn. But they're beginning to put pressure too deep into the Dutch territory. Now, a desirable thing might be to move here where I could react into either of these, but that's really a waste of a move. The other option is to attack against Nawales. So let's count the points and see if we want to do that. No fortification there, no special. 3, 4, 5.5 strength points is 6, 7, 8 strength points. William has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'd be at even going into a battle. What's the danger of that? Well, if it's kind of like in American Civil War, the victory games, not American Civil War, just Civil War over there, the victory games game. If you take the aggressive action and you fail, and it's worse here, you'll be disorganized or disordered, or demoralized in this case, for your opponent's turn, and then they can take advantage of you and whack you pretty hard. So I don't want to do that. Unfortunately, because I have the 2 here, I don't want to withdraw fully back. I may want to go first and maybe pull these Imperial troops up here or something to help cover. Problem with that? Well, that gives Boufflers a free hand over here. And of course, if I don't play my 3, I don't get my quick move. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play a 3 card and try to get the jump. And obviously that'll work because the French are only playing and showing a 1. One thing about playing a 1 is your opponent now knows you have a crappy card, and if you don't play it early, you can make some assumptions about what you're doing. Anyway, let's affect what we're going to do. What are we going to do with that 3? Well, Eugene is the guy we most want to fiddle around with. So we have the Spanish stuff here. So we're going to march into here, and we'll start a siege on that a little later. Second, we're going to move this guy. 1, 2, 3. This can't be intercepted because it's not controlled by the French, and it's not occupied by the French. Let's make sure we're in stacking limits. 2, 4, 5, 6.5. Okay, because there's only 6 regular corps there, we're safe. And now we've got a pretty strong holding running, to defend the Netherlands from the French attack. Of course, we no longer have a strong force here in the Empire, and that's going to be a risk. That's 2 of my 3. The third one, I'm going to throw my fleet out because, hey, why not? I'm going to strength 2. That gives me +2 to the Dyro. +1 for control of the Atlantic. I think he gets +1 for London too, doesn't he? I know somebody gets it. Yep, +1 for London. So we're basically at even. I had to build the fleet. Got to see if I can take it. I succeed. So I knock the French out up there. This goes here. It doesn't really matter what the strength is, and that's a victory point for the Allies. And now over to think about the French turn and to recharge my battery. Onto the French turn. Let me explain what happened. Boufflers moved up to Philipsburg. Still has the possibility of gaining mains for that. Everything's kind of open there. And this guy moved to Toronto. Well, I moved the Spanish army in his way. Not quite attacking. 1, 2, 3, couldn't make it. I could have done a reposition 4 spaces, but it's too late. So it looks like Toronto's going to fall unless I take an offensive action there. No big deal there. Then on the Allied turn, also Eugene did his little siege here, and he was actually successful, rolled a good die, took a hit, but that's 2 victory points, and we're back up to the starting place. That, you know, because we've lost a couple, right? There were 2 points here, 4 points were expended, and what have we gotten back? 1, 2, 3. I don't know where the other one is, if it is. It should be up to 3 again. And we'll continue on. The French begin both their sieges, and the Allies march using up to Munich and make an attack into Girona, which fails. So now they're demoralized here. That puts it back on the French, who probably want to continue their sieges, but they have another point if they do both the sieges. And what that other point is for, I'm not sure. Probably recuperation, but there might be other valuable things I could do with it. As we're hoping to catch Boufflers here. They had a total strength of 8. Boufflers would have had a 5. One of the neat things about this game, you can almost always, it's quite often the case, if you're on a defensive position of any kind or whatever, if you're on your defensive line, you can almost always get away. And that's what Boufflers does, because he succeeded in the Philipsburg siege, and you can see he took Mainz. That goes over. That's one of the 3 actions that the Brits used. They wanted to use another one to recover a Spaniard. That's their only recovery they can do this time. And they were going to use the 3rd to shift some forces around, I think. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with that. I could just move this. But the problem with that is I might, I have a 2-point card coming up. I might not. I've got 1 siege in play, which I may or may not succeed in. That's one of the reasons Boufflers could get away. Hey, there's a good chance Eugen doesn't end up taking that. But I think what I want to do is shift just forces forward. Now, if I have 2 sieges, it's possible I could siege something else with this force. But I kind of need him to cover now because of Boufflers coming into way. And the way this is built, the way the map is designed, there's no cut there. So I can't go this way. I could go into Koblenz and start sieging that and hope for the best. But on 1 card, it's pretty unlikely. So I want to do one of a couple of things. I either want to shift forces, which I've got forces that certainly could be shifted, or, well, I did the recovery, right? I did not do the recovery yet. Did I? Damn me. No, I have, I used 1. Okay, so I'll do the recovery for a second dude here. No, I swear I did that already. Okay, so I think I have 1 left at this point. Yeah, and I can't recover again, so this wouldn't be a possibility. I could get a bigger stack here and try to throw more weight this way. On the other hand, a threat from the Italian side, Savoy is coming in at some point next turn. That extra weight might help there, so let's do that instead. 1, 2, 3, and I can run 4. Sorry, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's gather them together because they're easier to move that way. And that uses up my break turn. A bit of shifting around, forces building up the Spaniards. 2 sieges were started, Philipsburg and Boufflers moved to Trier. They both had a chance to do it on 1 action. Neither one succeeded. That's going to put us down here where we have to withdraw to friendly spaces. And the initiative player gets to force the other guy to go first. So let's look at what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can't stack with a full strength unit. We'll not be able to increase things. So we're going to pull back to here at Nuremberg, where we have extra units. And this will go away. That won't be available. That's the only siege for them. The French, multiple places I could withdraw to. This doesn't look terribly valuable. So I'm going to pull over to Landau. And let me get rid of that. Okay. The demoralization goes away. We can stack these guys back. I don't know where else, if there's any other special counters there or not. Okay. 2 victory points if London is Bourbon controlled. It is. That's painful. Determine Savoy neutrality. No. Savoy comes in next turn. The Atlantic is controlled. We have the Glorious Revolution. Okay. So for this, we have to pull to the special rules. And these disappear fairly quickly, although there may be other ones like that. Okay, London becomes alliance controlled, which flips this over, and that takes the extra buck away from them. Place an alliance British corps in London with Marlborough. Okay. Add 2 British corps to the force pool. Place Prince Waldeck is removed from the game. Yeah, we didn't get him. Any force in London moves to Dunkirk or any space in Ireland. From now on, any Jacobites can stack with James II or use Paris as a capital. Okay. I don't know who owns Ireland. I assume that's Jacobite controlled. Dunkirk might be useful to have James down there. If we did the military one, he withdraws to York and keeps fighting it out. But in this case, he's just deposed. And if I go to Dunkirk, I have additional forces there. There's not a lot of value to me being in Ireland. So I'm going to flee here to Dunkirk and see what happens there. Okay. Because I think they'll serve some purpose there. I mean, yes, they serve a purpose in Ireland, but the English concentrate. There is a point for Ireland, right? I seem to remember something happens if the English conquer Ireland. I don't remember what it is. We may go back and try to fix that. No peace, no end of turn. We move forward, and we're going to load this up because it's close enough to an hour. But first, I'm going to check to see what the Ireland rule is. Might come back with that. As far as I can tell, Ireland remains Jacobite, and in fact, all of Britain remains Jacobite except for London, which means there's points to be gotten for capturing the Scottish territories. And New York isn't really worth anything, but that's okay. The other thing, the Ireland special rule is if the English can take Ireland now, they get an extra victory point for it. Not an extra victory point, they get an extra resource point each turn. So conquering Ireland has some value too. How much? I don't know. But as long as Ireland hasn't been conquered, the Brits are, assumed to be expending points of some sort, intriguing or whatever, to try to get their way back in there. It's so important to them that some expenditure is being considered for that, which means that they're not adding as much as they would to the fight anyway. How much do they add? Yeah, that's a good question. If they don't have Ireland, nothing. Unless there's cards or something like there is in No Peace Without Spain. Because the Alliance just produces 6, as far as I can tell. Alright. I think that's the case. There might be something else in there. And French have no wealthy spaces left. Yeah, yeah. That's the only bonus on there, unless there's something from the cards. So there we have it. I'll send this up. I'm doing a test case on my joiner. See if it works. The reasons I'm choosing to use that: one, it's free, and anything that handles the headers that I've been able to find, I can get like a trial version, but everything eventually costs some money, and I don't like spending money. And the other is, it's way faster. Like, I wouldn't mind spending $5-10 on software that did a better job than the Windows Movie Maker, which I could still probably pull down for free and does the whole thing. So this thing, all right, so the other movie makers that I've pulled down, a couple of them, they don't consume system resources like crazy. But they do take time. They take like 12 hours to run an hour-long video, just joining it together. And really, they should just be able to read the headers of all the videos and create a new header and do a join, and it should work fine. But they do this whole re-encoding and all kind of stuff that bloats the video size and everything. The other thing that doesn't, well, with the Windows Movie Maker, it takes almost as long, and it really consumes system resources. Like, I can't do anything on my computer that's at all intensive at the same time as I'm doing it. Even browsing the web can be kind of painful. Anyway, that's why we're trying this, and why we don't care that we're not going to have, proper times on it. Unless YouTube figures out how to do that. Maybe they'll figure that out. On the other hand, maybe they'll just cut the video and say, yeah, your header said you're only 30 minutes, and then I'm screwed, and I have to go to one of the more painful options. All right, up it goes.